Hey guys, Aiden here, and in today's video, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how you can generate B2B leads for your Go High Level business. So, a lot of people currently, obviously, SMMA has been, relatively big and trending in this space, and one of the biggest complaints about one of the so or at least some of the bigger SMMA gurus in the space is they don't really teach you how to actually, do outreach. So I'm just gonna go ahead and show you some ways you can go ahead and generate some leads for yourself for your Go High Level SMMA or just in general any type of business that you really have that targets entrepreneurs for the most part, and sometimes for B2C companies as well. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. So the first way we have here is Instagram, right? And there's three main ways you can go ahead and target people on Instagram. Um, so the first way obviously is hashtags. This is probably the most straightforward way that everyone kind of just tells you to do is go search a hashtag for digital marketing for digital marketing agencies, right? For hashtags, you do kind of want to like think just like a one step deeper, right? Like for dentists, you could go ahead and search hashtag dentist, but you'll also get a whole bunch of like just random posts about dentists and stuff. So and not only that, but just a lot of people are already searching and probably targeting the leads on those hashtags. So for hashtags, you want to kind of like think of like a product that people would be kind of selling. So for instance, for dentists, it would be like teeth implants. So I'll go ahead and show you right here. So we're just going to go ahead and search hashtag teeth implants. Right. And here you'll get, a whole bunch of dentists, and it's probably a lot more targeted, dentist leads because these are people, providing a specific service. So, like for instance, Vitelli Dental North Allerton, right? You could go ahead and just go ahead and follow this account and just go like their pictures and send your outreach message, right? Now, the other way is check go by going through the followers of an authority figure in the niche that you're trying to target, right? So sticking with kind of like dentist, for example, I pulled up this person here. So the way you would find an authority figure in the space is there's two main ways you could do it. Well, actually, there's like infinite numbers of ways, but there's two ways that you could relatively quickly find someone in your space. Um, so the first way is to just go on YouTube, go ahead and search up a term that people in your niche would want to be searching up to help grow their business, right? So for dentists, potentially they'd search up how to market their dental clinic. Some other ideas would be how to run your dental office, how to set up your dental business, yada yada. Just any sort of keyword that a business owner in your niche would want to kind of like search up to help themselves grow or start up. And then you would go ahead and just go through and find someone one of these videos, right? The one that I went ahead and found was this person right here, right? Delivering wild dental education. So obviously, um, you're like this is somebody who has an audience of dentists because she's obviously teaching people how to run their dental business. So you could go ahead and go on her Instagram here and go ahead and look. She has 10.3 thousand followers, right? So she's following a lot of dentists too, I would assume, right? Because she's obviously selling a service as well. So she probably, reaches out to a lot of dentists. As you can see here, all of these are leads, right? You could go ahead, like Valley Park Dental Care. Here's a dental clinic you could go ahead and target. Um, any of these, right? And if you go ahead and go on your phone here, I'll go ahead and hook it up actually for you guys right now. But if you go on your phone, you can actually pull up people's emails too from Instagram, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and start casting. Oh, it does not work. Okay, looks like this thing isn't gonna work here. Let me see if I can maybe do this screencasting. All right, it looks like it's not gonna work right now. But if you go on your phone, what you will see is below all of these people's profiles, or at least some of them. Some people they'll have an email and a phone number that you could go ahead and contact, right? So from these leads, right, you could go through this list of people, find all the people who are dentists, and then go ahead and just go ahead and contact them, right? And you'll be able to contact them on Instagram. They'll have a link to whatever they're selling as well, and then they'll have most of the time an email or a phone number for you to call or send a cold email to, right? So yeah, there's YouTube. You could also search on Google to find websites of these people, and then find your links on their profile on their website. And then the other way would be by going to Spotify and then just go um, and then you could find different podcasts of different people in their niche, and find their links, right? So Gary Bird, his website, and then you could go to his website and try to find his Instagram. So that's how you reach out to people on Instagram, right? So and then the final way is just similar to a profile. So once you find a dentist, once you follow someone, it'll pull up a whole bunch of similar profiles, and you can find people that way as well. So yeah, that's for Instagram. Now for Google Maps, this is the most obvious one. You could just search up somebody by niche and location, right? So let's say you're searching for car mechanics. You're doing a car mechanic SMMA. You could just go ahead and search on Google car mechanics, and let's say Long Island, New York, right? And it'll go ahead and pull up a bunch of businesses. It'll pull up their phone numbers, their Google reviews, and all of that stuff, right? That you could go ahead and reach out to, right? And then the other way is you could search by the best, car mechanics, right? In whatever state, it'll pull up the best ones. So yeah, that's how you use Google Maps. It's probably the most basic way and the most time consuming way, and probably like um, the most some of the most saturated leads, obviously, right? Because it's the easiest leads to access. You're obviously just going on Google, so yeah, that's just something to keep in mind with Google Maps, right? Next way is through Facebook. The way you could get leads through Facebook is similar to Instagram, right? You find 30 figures in a niche, and the same way you find it on Instagram, or for Instagram, you would find it for Facebook, right? You would go on YouTube, Spotify, or any of those, and then find a 30 figure. So let's say I was working with business coaches, how to scale your business coaching or personal training. Let's say personal trainers, right? How to scale an online coaching fitness business, right? Oh, this guy doesn't really have, well, he has an Instagram, so there's that. But what we're trying to look for is somebody who has a Facebook group, and here you go, right? So let's say you were targeting fitness coaches, right? Personal trainers. You could go ahead and come to this, Facebook group, and obviously this one I would have to join, but let me see if I could join another group, like marketing agencies. So let's say you're targeting marketing agencies, right? Or just agencies in general. You would be able to just, well, there's a couple ways, right? You could go ahead and target people who are commenting and liking on posts, right? So you could find a post that has, like this one, right? It gives people value, and, people obviously are looking to book appointments using whatever Go High Level sequence here, right? So you could go ahead and send a DM to these people who are commenting or liking here, right? These are all people who are interested in some sort of service, right? And want to scale up their agency. The other way, obviously, is you could just go ahead and go to the members, and just look at the people's titles, right? And you could see what they're doing. So like owner and CEO of workflows, this guy might be a good lead. Managing marketing director, so he works on marketing for Skybox. He's obviously owns an agency, so you could reach out to him. But yeah, you could just go ahead and send an email, or send a DM to people, and then If you want to go ahead and find your emails too, you could do that on Facebook, right? What you would do, so this one is like a page. So you would just go here and then view main profile and go to the about section, and then give usually some sort of contact info, right? So you can see here phone number or an email address, sometimes a phone number, and then you'll see a website as well. So that's how you scrape Facebook groups. Finally, there's Facebook pages, which I just kind of showed you. You could just go ahead and search, um, you know, dentists in LA, right? And then this kind of goes hand in hand with the Facebook search one option as well, right? Because Facebook, it has a little bit better of a search option than Instagram does. Um, so yeah, you could just go here, and then it'll pull up a whole bunch of dentistry practices that you could go ahead and reach out to. Um, so yeah, that's Facebook, and then one that people don't really talk about a lot is TikTok. TikTok's still relatively new, especially if you're looking for local businesses. But for agency owners, you could still definitely like find people to reach out to if TikTok will go ahead and load. But pretty much what you do is you just there's two ways you could get an account and just pretty much like a bunch of videos related to your niche, and then your whole For You page would just obviously be filled up with that niche from there on out. And then of course you could search for hashtags, right? So yeah, that's kind of TikTok. I don't know why it's not loading, but yeah, TikTok's just not loading because I guess it doesn't like this PC. But yeah, so that's it for TikTok. And then for B2B lead database, so this kind of like speeds up what you can do. This pretty much just gets leads for you, so you don't have to go and actually like search through any of these kind of like websites or social networks. So, and a good example of this would be Client Finder. This is one that I've not seen anyone talk about at all whatsoever. So pretty much what this is it scrapes Google Maps businesses or Google My Business pretty much. So all these kind of like niches, they don't have like very specific ones, but you know, relatively it's still relatively niche down in terms of businesses. So like um let's say you wanted to work with bankruptcy services, right? You could go ahead and select a niche here. You could choose, your country, state, city, and you could go ahead and search, right? And then the great thing about a tool like this, right, as you'll see, is that tools like this, it includes information about, the business that you're trying to reach out to, right? So Client Finder, as you'll see once it loads up, um, actually, before I talk about Client Finder, I'm going to go ahead and just touch real quick on the other services you could use. You could use services like snuff.io. That's another popular one. There's Apollo. There's Use Artemis, which is a smaller one that just came out. This one's an AppSumo one, so it's probably a lot cheaper, but it's also a lot newer as well, so it has a little bit more bugs. But yeah, you could find prospects off a platform like this, right? And then there's Clay, which is another one that not a lot of people talk about. It pretty much just combines all the other platforms into one platform for you. So Client Finder, the leads have loaded. As you can see, it put up 128,000 leads for bankruptcy services in the United States, right? So your agency, whatever your consulting business, now you can go ahead and just you have a whole bunch of information about these leads, right? So what this tells you here is you have contact information, right, which gives you email address and then the phone number. It tells you the niche that they're in. So this person is a lawyer, so he's probably a bankruptcy lawyer. Yep, like these people, right? Um, so a lot of these people are related to law, obviously, because it's bankruptcy. So obviously it relates to the law. And then you can see their website here, right? You can see like the website for the business, right? You can see their LinkedIn account if they have one. You can see their Facebook account. You can see their Instagram, their business Twitter. You can see if they have their Google My Business claimed, right? And then this is the best part, in my opinion, about Client Finder here. You could even see if they're running Facebook ads, Google ads, Yelp ads or not, right? So let's say you're trying to find people to sell. Let's say you're trying to help people with Google ads, right? And you're trying to find people who are already spending money on Google ads, right? What you can do here is you can click on the filter, and you could look for people who are already running Google Ads, right? So you apply the filter, and then you also want people who already preferably have a website, and then preferably have an Instagram account, so like they already have a social media presence, right? And they already understand the value of social media. So you could go ahead and click apply to filter. So now I'll go ahead and pull up leads that have these traits. Should this take a second? But yeah. So one thing to keep in mind about lead databases is just kind of depending on the database, they won't update us often, right? So yeah. So for people with a website and who run Google Ads for bankruptcy services, it's very few and far between, which is understandable. But yeah, like if you wanted to find people who are already running Google Ads, and now you would have a list of people who have Google Ads, obviously, right? So go ahead and reach out to them and say, hey, I see that you're running Google Ads. I'm a Google Ads agency, or I'm a Facebook ads agency, or I'm a SEO agency, or I'm a code outreach agency, right? And then you could go ahead and pitch them like, hey, I know you already have Google Ads, right? And we could go ahead and help you make more money instead of whatever you're doing already. So yeah, that's how you can use Client Finder. It's a very powerful software, right? You can go ahead and see all the data if you go ahead and click into them, right? And then you could add them to your leads, and you could go ahead and export all the leads that you have to a spreadsheet, right? So you could add it to your cold email software, your leads sheet, whatever you want to do, right? But yeah, so anyway, that's it for these couple methods on how you could generate B2B leads for your Go High Level business or your SMMA business. Here you can just go ahead and book a call. So that our team at Expansively, which is my agency, which what we do is we help business to business agency owners, coaches, and consultants book 100 meetings per month using an omni-channel outreach system, right? So pretty much what omni-channel outreach is you use not just one like channel like or method to kind of like reach your audience, right? So a lot of people, they only use cold calling, they're only doing cold email, and a lot of people are doing that, right? That's the thing, is those are methods that are super saturated. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to help business owners find more unsaturated ways to reach out to businesses, and in turn just generate a lot of appointments. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and click on the link right here, go to expansively.com, and we'll go ahead and give you a free walkthrough of our systems, of how we can generate your business, just a lot of sales appointments. Because at the end of the day, your agency, your coaching business, your consultancy, it needs sales appointments. So yeah, that's how you make money, and we're gonna help you make money. So yeah, thank you for watching. And if you found value in this video, go ahead and subscribe. And yeah, until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.